Hello and welcome to another episode of Tony's podcast. Today we're diving into a topic that's both critical and controversial: the accumulation of extreme wealth by a single individual and its potential impact on society. Specifically, we'll explore how the concentration of wealth, such as $1 billion in the hands of one person, could be linked to pushing millions into poverty. We'll also attempt to create a formula to quantify the phenomenon to understand the scale of its impact. Let's begin. Let's start by discussing the sheer magnitude of $1 billion. 1 billion is 1,000 million. It's an amount of money so large that it's difficult to grasp in real terms. For some perspective, if you were to stack $1 bills, $1 billion would form a stack nearly 68 miles high. Now imagine this amount of wealth concentrated in the hands of one person. While this might seem like an incredible achievement, it raises important questions about economic inequality. Wealth and poverty, a complex relationship. The idea that one person's wealth could lead to another poverty is not new, but it's essential to understand the mechanism behind it. Wealth doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of a large economic system. When wealth becomes highly concentrated, resources, opportunities, and economic power often become concentrated as well. This can lead to a situation where the rich get richer while the poor get poorer. Not necessarily because of direct theft or exploitation, but because of the structural dynamic of capitalism. For example, when a billionaire accumulates wealth, they often do so through mechanisms like controlling large corporations, owning significant shares of stock, or investing in real estate. These activities can drive up prices, reduce wages, and limit access to resources for others. As a result, the broader population may experience economic hardship, leading to an increase in poverty. Now, let's get into the mathematics of the inequality. We can try to create a simplified formula to estimate how many people might be pushed into poverty as a result of billionaires' wealth accumulation. This formula is a theoretical exercise to illustrate the potential impact, but it should be taken with a grain of caution due to the complexities of real-world economics. Here's a basic formula. P equal W by A times S. P is the number of people potentially pushed into poverty. W is the wealth accumulated by the billionaire in dollars. A is the average wealth per person in the population. S is a social inequality factor that adjusts for the uneven distribution of wealth. A higher number means more inequality. Let's break this down. Wealth accumulation W, this is the amount of wealth held by the billionaire. If we take a billionaire's wealth as 1 billion, then W equal $1 billion. Average wealth per person. This is the average wealth held by an individual in the broader population. If the average wealth per person is 10,000, then A equal 10,000. Social inequality factors S. This is a factor that represents the inequality in society. If the society is relatively equal, this factor might be close to 1. If the society is highly unequal, it could be significantly higher. For example, let's assume s equal 10. Using these values, the formulas becomes 1 billion divided by 10,000 times 10. 1 billion divided by 100,000, P equal 10,000. In this simplified model, the accumulation of 1 billion by a single person could theoretically push 10,000 people into poverty, depending on the inequality factor. Now let's go to another subject, real-world considerations. It's important to note that this formula is simplification and doesn't capture the full complexity of how wealth and poverty interact. In the real world, factors like government policies, social safety nets, economic cycles, and global market dynamics play a crucial role in determining the actual impact of wealth concentration. For instance, if a billionaire invests in creating jobs or supporting public infrastructure, the negative effect might be mitigated or even reversed. Conversely, if the wealth is hoarded or used to influence policies that exacerbate inequality, the impact could be much worse. The bigger picture. The goal of this podcast isn't to vilify wealth or success but to highlight the broader implication of economic inequality. When wealth becomes too concentrated, it can destabilize economies, weaken democracies, and create social unrest. The challenge is finding a balance where individuals can prosper without creating systematic inequality that harm society as a whole. For example, in the United States, it is estimated that around 3.3 million people are pushed into poverty each year. This figure is influenced by various factors, including economic downturns, rising living costs, unemployment, and systematic inequalities that disproportionately affect marginalized communities. Additionally, the erosion of social safety nets and access to affordable health care and education can exacerbate poverty rates, trapping more individuals and families in a cycle of financial hardship. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for addressing the root cause of poverty and implementing effective solutions. On average, billionaires in the United States collectively amass billions of dollars each year, which estimates suggesting that their total wealth increases by approximately $500 billion annually. This accumulation is driven by rising stock prices, real estate investment, and business profit, among other factors. The growth of billionaire wealth has been particularly pronounced during economic booms or periods of strong market performance. However, this rapid accumulation of wealth by a small number of individuals has sparked debates about income inequality and its broader social and economic impact on the rest of the population. Also, on average, the U.S. public debt has been rising approximately $1 trillion per year in recent years. This increase is driven by a combination of factors, including government spending on social programs, defense, and interest payment on existing debt, as well as tax policies that contribute to budget deficit. The COVID-19 pandemic further accelerated the debt growth as the government implemented significant stimulus measures to support the economy. As the debt continues to rise, concerns about its long-term sustainability and potential impact on economic stability and future generations remain central in economic and political discussions. Finally, the rising U.S. public debt can push people into poverty by straining government resources and limiting the ability to fund essential social programs that may low-income families rely on, such as healthcare, education, and housing assistance. As debt grows, a large portion of federal budget is directed toward interest payments, leaving fewer resources available for social safety nets. This can lead to cut in benefits, reduced access to services, and increased cost for the public. Disproportionality affecting those already struggling financially. Furthermore, high public debt can lead to economic instability, which can result in job losses and wage stagnation, further exacerbating poverty levels in the country. While it's a complex and debated issue, some argue that the combination of rising public debt to disproportionate accumulation of wealth by billionaires and systemic corruption could potentially push the U.S. toward a financial crisis or even bankruptcy. In the long term, public debt that grow unchecked can lead to unsustainable interest payment, forcing the government to easier raise taxes or cut essential services, both of which can stifle economic growth and worsen inequality. The extreme concentration of wealth among billionaires can further distort the economy, as it reduces the purchasing power of the middle and lower classes, leading to reduced economic demand. Corruption exacerbates these issues by eroding trust in institutions, mislocating resources, and fostering policies that favor the wealth at the expense of the broader population. If these factors continue to unchecked, they could create a scenario where the government struggles to meet its obligations, leading to a severe economic downturn, or in an extreme case, national bankruptcy. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a thought. Wealth in its most positive form should be a tool for progress and well-being, not a force that drives people into poverty. The concentration of wealth raises important ethical and economic questions that we as a society must address. How do we create systems that reward innovation and hard work while ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at a decent life? Thank you for listening. If you found this episode thought-provoking, please share it with others. And as always, I welcome your feedback and ideas for future topics. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and let's keep the conversation going. Tony, signing off.